Charlie is out there chasing one, and we got a couple more, so we're gonna help her out and pick these up as we can. That being said, I kind of turn the boys loose on shooting them as they can. Them right there, I'd like to let them make another pass just to see what they'd have done. So I may have to retract.
I have to figure out where the record button is. There it is. Is this thing on? Is this thing working? What's up? I'm at work today, waiting on my computer to do some stuff. I've been wanting to shoot this video, so I figured we'd talk about it. So let's get going. Have you ever been hunting ducks and you call at them and then you call at them some more? Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. And eventually you're just like, what do you want from me? What the heck do you want? What can I say to you to get you convinced? Like, what can I do? That's what I'm gonna talk about today. So I've been fortunate to go on several pretty good hunts this year and hunt with some really great hunters. But one of the things I've noticed is calling, not necessarily the sound of the call, but when to call. So in this video, I want to talk about the difference of calling to ducks in a field versus the woods or an oxbow or something like that. Yeah, just when to call ducks, when to call at them, not necessarily what to say, but when to call. Again, this is all my theory. By the way, as I said before, if you'd like to subscribe, I'd like to invite you to, but if you don't, hey, that's cool too. One of the biggest things about calling, again, in my opinion, is looking at it from two ways. One, are you calling ducks to your decoys or are you calling ducks to you? And what I mean by decoys versus you is a decoy application would be if you're hunting like a field or an oxbow or something to where you've got decoys out and ducks are working, and then you're calling ducks and you want the ducks to think the decoys are what's making the sound. In hunting in Arkansas in flooded timber, you're standing by a tree, you're hiding, you've got water all around you, and you're calling the ducks. So why you see guys kick the water, they are actually trying to get the ducks to come to them. Like, I want the mallard drake to think he's flying around, he hears me, then I kick the water, for example, he sees the movement, he's thinking that's where she's at, I'm going there. So I'm trying to call the ducks to me, not to decoys. Now there are decoys out there, but I want to call them to me. I want to make them think that I am a mallard hen. So one of the biggest things is, one, when we first see ducks that we're gonna call it, and as duck callers, like, we can't stand it. As soon as we see ducks, even if they're coming at us, it's like the first instinct is to pick up the call and blow the call at them. I'm guilty of it. Everybody I know is guilty of it. That's just what we do as duck callers. But the first thing, again, in my opinion, that you are looking for, the moment you make a sound, and I'm talking about mallards because most of the time we're blowing mallard calls at ducks, but it probably works for other ducks, excluding wood ducks that don't seem to come to calls. The first thing you're watching for is their wing beat. So in my experience, I blow a little note at them or whatever, a greeting call, whatever you want to call it, 5-note, whatever. I blow a ducky sound, and the first thing I'm watching is their wing beat. If they're flapping, and then I hit them with a note, and then they stop and they sail, that tells me, okay, we can play ball. We may have a player who wants to play the game. If they're flapping by, flying by, and I hit them with a call and it speeds up, whatever I just did, they did not like. It doesn't mean they don't want to be called at. It just means whatever I did may be too aggressive. If it's cloudy, I feel like you kind of got to back down versus a sunny day when you can put more pressure on them. That's the first thing I'm watching for, is the wing beat. To you guys that are new hunters, if you're wanting to blow the duck calls, go out and that's where you practice. In the field, which I don't recommend practicing in your vehicle. You go out, that's the first thing you need to look for. When you call it high ducks, when you call it close ducks, whatever you do, you watch that wing beat. The second thing is if you see ducks flying, say they're going away, and you call them and they turn, stop calling, let them come, depending on what they're doing. So sometimes you can keep calling until they turn and come to you, and then you let off of them. But my encouragement would be, when you call them and they respond, watch what they do, okay? You see them, you call them, they turn, they come back, all right? Maybe do a feed call, maybe let off of them, as in stop calling, and see if they come in. If they're coming towards you, just let them come. So that's one thing. Another thing I see people do a lot especially in a field, not so much the woods, because again, it's calling ducks to decoys, not calling ducks to you, is they will do like a feed call or call ducks when they're straight up overhead. The reason I think this is a bad idea is because A, ducks are shot at, so they get smart fast, they get decoy shy, which means when they see decoys, they don't want no part of them because they know they're not real. But when ducks are straight up overhead and your decoys are out in front of you and you're calling, they are pinpointing where the sound's coming from. If the sound's not coming from the decoys, they get smart to that really fast. So what I would try to do is try to have call up the ducks when the decoys are between me and them. So if I'm in my blind or layout or whatever, and then I've got decoys and then the birds are on the other side of the decoys, I'm okay with calling at them. But when it's me, then the ducks, then the decoys, I'm not gonna call at them. Again, I'm calling ducks to the decoys, I'm not calling ducks to me. Just a quick recap. Ducks overhead, don't call at them unless you're in the woods, that's completely different. When they're coming towards you, don't call at them. Give them, like, you know, they're likely to make more passes if they kind of have to keep searching from where the sound's coming from, which as they make more passes, a lot of times they get lower. Don't call at ducks overhead. Don't call at them when they're coming towards you. And then the other thing is watching the wing beat. But one thing I want to note, I think sometimes guys turn ducks too quickly. So we know the ducks will turn to the call, like what we figured out by the first time a group of ducks comes in and we called at them and they responded. That generally means most of the ducks for the rest of the day will respond to the call unless the weather changes. Ducks have to land against the wind. So as waterfowlers, we hunt with the wind to our backs so that ducks light in our face. You guys get that. When ducks go out, a lot of guys will think they're gonna lose them, so they call them and they turn them too soon. When you turn ducks too soon, they start just circling over the top of you. You're allowing them to be in a tight circle, and eventually they're gonna pick something out and then fly off. My recommendation would be let them go and get away from you a little bit. Go down with the wind, like go away from me. And then call them, because when they turn and they set their wings, they have more time to get lower and actually get set with the wind and possibly are more likely to set in the decoys, which is me and all my friends. That's what we enjoy doing, is calling ducks and trying to get their feet in the decoys. Yes, we like to shoot ducks. Yes, I like to film ducks and take pictures of ducks and all that stuff. But for us, myself included, the game is fooling them and getting them to land in the decoys, or getting them to commit to the decoys. That's what, you know, we don't have to shoot them, we do. We don't have to shoot them to know that we won the game. Appreciate you guys that have been commenting and have been really encouraging in some of my videos. I just want to say thanks, and we'll see you guys in the next one. I gotta find the stupid record button again. I can't ever find this thing. All right, think about it.